Sometimes the greatest dangers in space don't come from weapons, but from something as small as a floating piece of metal. This is the story of how a single fragment of space debris almost triggered a war between two superpowers. For decades, we've looked to the stars with a mix of wonder and ambition. But as we've reached further into the cosmos, we've also brought our earthly conflicts with us. In the not-so-distant past, the world was a chessboard, and space was the high ground. Two rival nations, both titans of technology, were locked in a silent competition. A new kind of Cold War played out thousands of kilometers above our heads. High-tech satellites, marvels of engineering, orbited the globe, each side watching the other with unblinking electronic eyes. These were not just tools for communication or science. They were spies, sentinels, and the first line of defense in a world drenched in mistrust. In this hyper-tense atmosphere, where every signal was scrutinized and every shadow questioned, even the slightest anomaly could be misinterpreted as an act of aggression. A blip on a radar, a sudden change in trajectory, anything out of the ordinary could be the spark that ignites a global fire. It was a delicate, dangerous dance. Each nation knew that the other's orbital assets were both a threat and a vulnerability. They watched for secret weapon tests, for signs of an impending attack, for any hint that the fragile balance of power was about to be shattered. The silence of space was filled with the unspoken threats of Earth, and the stage was set for a misunderstanding of catastrophic proportions. Our story begins not with a bang, but with a quiet, almost insignificant event. Months earlier, a routine maintenance mission in orbit had gone slightly wrong. A satellite, one of thousands circling our planet, had suffered minor damage. From that small incident, a tiny piece of metal, barely the size of a coin, broke off and began its own lonely journey through the void. No one noticed. It was too small to track, too trivial to register on the vast catalogs of space junk. Silently, it began its endless orbit around the Earth, hurtling through the vacuum at over 25,000 kilometers per hour. That's 17 times faster than a speeding bullet. Invisible to the naked eye and forgotten by its creators, this tiny metallic splinter became a ghost in the machine, a ticking time bomb waiting for its moment. It was a relic of a minor accident, now a potential catalyst for a major conflict, adrift in the vast emptiness. Then, one fateful day, the Forgotten Fragment's random journey intersected with destiny. It drifted into a critical orbital zone, its path taking it dangerously close to a high-value military satellite, one of the key eyes in the sky, for one of the world as superpowers. Down on the ground, in a dimly lit control room, advanced radar systems picked up the object, but its speed and erratic trajectory didn't match any known debris in the database. To the powerful computers designed to detect threats, this looked like something new, something unknown, and therefore something potentially hostile. Within seconds, the room was bathed in the harsh red glow of alarm lights. Consoles beeped frantically. The system, following its programming, classified the object as an unknown high-speed projectile. The terrifying implication hung in the air. It could be a new type of anti-satellite weapon being tested. On the other side of the world, the rival superpowers' surveillance systems detected the sudden, intense activity around their adversary's military network. Their satellites were being put on high alert, and ground communications were spiking. To them, it looked like the First Nation was preparing for something big. Confusion quickly morphed into suspicion. And suspicion, in a world already on a knife's edge, can spiral out of control with terrifying speed. The world held its breath. In military command centers on both sides of the globe, generals and political leaders were jolted into emergency meetings. The highest levels of government went into high alert. Intelligence agencies scrambled, working around the clock desperately trying to identify the mysterious object that had appeared out of nowhere. What was it? A secret weapon? An aggressive maneuver? Diplomatic hotlines, the last defense against open conflict, lit up with urgent, angry calls. Accusations flew back and forth, each side demanding explanations from the other, convinced they were the target of a hostile act. Fighter jets were scrambled to runways, and military units were placed on their highest state of readiness. A mistake, a miscalculation, a single itchy trigger finger could plunge the world into war. And all the while, thousands of kilometers above, a tiny, insignificant piece of metal continued its silent, indifferent journey, completely unaware of the global chaos it had caused on the planet below. In those control rooms, under immense pressure, men and women were making decisions that could alter the course of human history, all based on a ghost on a radar screen. Just as tensions reached their absolute peak, a breakthrough came. A team of brilliant analysts working away from the military frenzy decided to approach the problem differently. Instead of assuming it was a weapon, they asked a simple question: where did it come from? They began meticulously tracing the object's trajectory backward in time, overlaying its path with the known orbits of every satellite, rocket body, and piece of debris ever catalogued. Slowly, a picture emerged. The object's path didn't originate from any launch site on Earth. It didn't match any missile profile. Instead, its orbit perfectly aligned with the location of that minor satellite accident from months before. The realization spread through the room like a wave of relief. It wasn't a weapon, it wasn't a threat, it was just junk, a forgotten fragment. The stand-down order was given. The alarms finally went silent. The world had stepped back from the brink. This near miss became a chilling classified lesson for those in power. In the high-stakes arena of space, even the smallest, most insignificant object can have massive, world-altering consequences. A single piece of debris almost triggered a war, not because of its destructive power, but because of human mistrust and misunderstanding. It serves as a stark reminder that the greatest danger we face is not always the weapon pointed at us, but our own readiness to believe the worst. And as you look up at the night sky, remember that somewhere above us, millions more fragments continue to orbit, each one a silent, forgotten piece of our own making, just waiting for its turn to be noticed. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another deep dive into the hidden stories of our world. We'll see you in the next one.